So we'll just kind of dive right in. Before we kind of go into questions, can you give everyone kind of like a 30-second just what you do, what kind of, and specifically what kind of unscripted you are working with? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, so I'm Jesse Barkley. I lead unscripted development across all of our unscripted channels for Chorus, which includes History Channel, Food Network, HGTV, and yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and I'm Kelsey Espenson, and I am the director of Unscripted at Marble Media, and so I really specialize in competition, lifestyle, shows like Blown Away, A Cut Above, Race Against the Tide with CBC, Netflix. We have lots of different shows, different broadcasters all across the world.
Two very wonderful companies that I would love to work with. So let's go right into it. Unscripted content, as you both know, spans quite a large range, which I think most people don't realize. It's not just documentary, it's alternative and reality and factual and variety and all sorts of combinations of those. So can you tell us what areas of unscripted you both focus on normally and what kind of like what you love about that specific area in unscripted?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm taking care of History Channel. So that's all of those great OcuDocs that you see on the channel. It's also our core history programming that's anchored to Remembrance Day, Truth and Reconciliation, and Black History Month. Also HGTV Canada, if you know that channel, of course, lots of great home content. And then Food Network, which is also the home of great chefs, Food Network, personalities, and competition shows. Oh, what I love about it. Was that part of it?
Yes, what you love about it.
Yeah,
it's the important part.
The
Yeah.
most important part of the question. So for me, I would say I look back at kind of my own resume, and I love how broad unscripted could be. Like for me, I've worked in unscripted for almost 20 years, and that's included entertainment shows, fashion shows, talk shows, big formats, primetime specials. So I think I like that it is a very flexible space.
Oh, solid answer. So as I mentioned, I love all unscripted. So I tend to lean into competition and lifestyle and entertainment, but have begun to dabble in the factual space, history, crime, that sort of stuff. But as of right now, my bread and butter is competition. So I love it. And I always find that if you love what you do, you'll want to take it home with you. So I watch everything unscripted. So when I go home from work, I continue just to watch unscripted, not because of work, but because I love it. And so I love the peek behind the curtain. That's what unscripted's perfect for, is that you get to see real people doing real things, whether they're scandalous or whether they're creative or whether they're just interesting. I just love watching real people on screen. I think that's something that unscripted really has always resonated with me for.
It's true, and I just will sidebar and say that there are a lot of incredible unscripted series in the festival, and every year we always get some really amazing series that come through. So if you're around for screenings and want to connect with, I mean, there's tons of talented creators. So my next question is kind of, I resonate with this because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about, like, especially with emerging producers, about unscripted content. And I think that's why you see less of it. Like, definitely, and we can just use our festival as an example, like 80% is scripted. So what are some of the biggest misconceptions that newer producers have about unscripted content? If you want to focus on sort of short form, that would be great too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like unscripted has always got the bad rap of trash TV, which it is not. Yes, there is some dramatic television out there, that sort of stuff, but it's not trash TV. Honestly, our shows they're high end, they're high budget, they're high quality, and they're competing on levels with just as many other Netflix shows or just as many other CBC shows. For instance, we have a show called All Around Champion, which is a kids show that is young athletes competing against each other to be the ultimate champion. And it actually won the Youth Media Alliance Kids Award for all of Canada against scripted shows and unscripted shows as the top show in Canada for kids. So just think, unscripted is really competing against scripted truly. And I think that as we move forward, you're gonna start to see a lot more of that edging out. It's gonna be more of the top 10s on different platforms and that sort of stuff. But the thing about unscripted is that it kind of has always got a bad rap of being cheap, and it is not that. And as we move forward, you're going to see the quality and the content is just going to get more and more elevated as we go.
I think that's all awesomely said. And I would say on the short form side as well, we kicked off a short form project February 2020, which was great timing because you know what happened shortly after that. And this was kind of a new short form project that we launched. And that project has expanded to 6 different channels for us on Chorus. So short form specifically, I think, is a really growing space. I think people are looking for video in all different kinds of shades for all different kinds of platforms. So I think it's really smart to be developing stuff that's short form.
For sure. And I will say, I mean, there's, as you said, there's tons of high quality unscripted programming in television, but I think there's just as much in short form as well. Exactly. So like, but I will say kind of opposite to that is, I mean, as an unscripted producer, it's much easier to produce the content. If like you can do a lot more with very little compared to scripted. Like there's just, you can't do that all the time in scripted. So, and that just comes from experience, but I think it's a really great, one of the misconceptions I've noticed is that people think they can't do it. Like it's a great entry point, I think, to short form specifically. So kind of along that line, what should producers consider in working in unscripted, and what's like the biggest benefit, do you feel?
I mean, there's no script. So that's number one, tick that box.
Yeah.
If you're, you know, writing a script takes a long time. The process of getting a scripted show to air takes a long time. If you're like myself and you have a golden retriever personality where you can't focus on one thing at a time, unscripted, the benefit of being able to work in lots of different areas, you know, I might have 5 tabs on my computer, and one might be about dogs, and one might be about food, and one might be about Pearl Harbor, like all these different things. So you can bounce around a lot. And I think the thing about unscripted is that there's so much talent out there. So for instance, we look for TikTok, we look for YouTubers, we look for social media people, and those worlds. I actively am always looking across those platforms to look for who could be the next big talent, who's showcasing a world that I've never seen of, and that is being shown across those different platforms. And for me, it's really inspiring, and it has actually really triggered a lot of my ideas. Best of Miniature is a show I have on CBC where it's a miniature building competition. Dollhouse, one room per every episode. And it really got over the line with CBC because I was able to show all the different TikTok stats, all the different Instagram stats of how incredibly big and little this world is on social media, and it pushed it over the edge. And that's also how I started tracking down different people to be on the show and really looking at what they were doing, because it informed me on a lot of how the competition would work and what the abilities and skill sets are out there. So looking for those kind of worlds on short form platforms is truly a godsend. Like, it's really great.
I would also add that we have 25, 30, up to 40 different shows at any given time as a commissioner. So there are still budgets in unscripted programming. So there are needs, there's lots of places to put it in this country. So I think it's smart to go where the money is sometimes. And there's tons of opportunities in unscripted.
Which is why I love it so much. So kind of shifting gears more to the format area, because people think when they hear format, I feel like they don't understand what that means. So can you give just two-parter, give kind of definition of format and what makes a strong format in your mind? Jesse, I'll let you start.
For sure. So for me, I think what makes a strong format is something that is unique. I think looking toward the international market and making sure that it isn't something that's being done or lives elsewhere in the space is really important. A highly kind of formatted concept, I think, works in any market potentially. And yeah, that it's clear, it's concise, it's fully realized. We have the queen of formats here as well, so I feel like you definitely have something to say about formats. You've created some great ones.
Thank you. Title. A title truly can push something over the line. I agree with everything you said. A title, though, a great title, gosh, It's so satisfying, and in the room, it can change an entire tone.
Let me ask, what was one project, because you've got some great ones, where the title really kind of moved it to the next place?
Goodness. A Cut Above, our chainsaw carving competition. It just perfectly, it's cut above. Like, it was like, duh.
Yeah.
Like, duh.
Well, Blown Away as well, I mean.
Blown Away, yes. I can't take credit for Blown Away, but that all, for us, like that also, it just says everything in the title without saying too much. But yeah, great title, and access. Access is actually really key. So if you know somebody who does something, you can get into places that people have never been. That's really key for creating a great show. Kind of, again, pulling the curtain on places that we've never seen before.
Awesome. So let's talk about launching, particularly untested, unscripted formats in Canada in particular, because I find, and you'll probably bring this up, but I find I've noticed that Canada doesn't really take too many risks when it comes to launching like more out-of-the-box unscripted formats. Though I think you two are kind of exceptions to that rule, specifically in the alternative variety, like shiny floor competition space. So in your opinion, do you think it comes down to the money or lack of audience potential, or both, or is it something else? Like from what you've observed in doing what you do, why is it that Canada in particular is a bit more like, we license a lot of formats from the US, but not too many originals here?
I mean, I would say the economics have to make sense. That's a big piece of it. I think that IP, known IP, proven IP can really perform, and those are big swings to take as networks when you're commissioning and spending that much money on a shiny floor show. Mm-hmm. I think having a bit of proven IP behind it is a great way to start. I think that it also depends on the commissioning network. I know on Food Network we do a lot of shiny floor that's original. Yeah. So it really does depend on kind of the needs of the network and that thing there. But I would, not to put you on the spot again, but someone that has created some great comp shows that are very original is you. So, right?
Wow, I love being here.
This is just like compliment Kelsey Day.
Over to Kelsey, that's a transition, if ever you saw one. So, yeah, I mean, there's certainly, you would say that there is an appetite for original shiny floor formats.
There's definitely an appetite. I don't think it's a lack of audience. I don't think it's a lack of appetite. When it comes to those big shiny floors that we're kind of talking about, it kind of comes down to enticing a U.S. broadcaster to come here. So if you're going to have a show that you need to have a budget, right? So you need to have money that doesn't just come necessarily from Canada, but comes from elsewhere. And so a lot of time, game shows in particular, they're not CMF-able, they're not tax creditable, so that takes a big chunk out of your budget. The only thing that really are CMF-able are Docs and docs. So even competitions, they don't, it's just hard to get them over the line simply because of money. But I think that people love unscripted. People, I think CBC is doing a really great job at kind of pushing that on GEM, and then seeing that they're doing well. They're doing so well that they're putting them on linear. So I don't think it's a lack of appetite. It's just money. It always comes down to money.
And it's not a lack of originality or pitches. There's some wicked producers and showrunners in this country that can make those shows. I do think a lot of it has to do with the economics and what it needs to get across the line for it to be meaningful for the commissioner as well.
So then would you say the good testing ground or proof of concept would be to do a short form, maybe lower cost version of the idea, to then like using short form as kind of the mechanism to do that?
I think that it would not hurt, especially if it's something in the competition space or something in kind of the niche world space. If you can show that, you've done something and it's proven that you have millions of views on YouTube or on other platforms, I think it doesn't hurt to come into a pitch with those numbers, being like, we've already got a built-in audience. Broadcasters love a built-in audience because that, these people are going to come with the show. They're going to come with that world. I definitely think it's a really great idea.
And I guess that's kind of what you were saying about going to TikTok and going to places where there's people that have those audiences and kind of using that as a starting ground.
Exactly.
To find, and I will just sidebar and say the talent is such a huge thing in unscripted. I think people don't really get how important talent is just as much as scripted. Like it's really important. So you want to speak a bit about talent and like finding talent and
Sure, yeah. Why not? So I would say I would use HGTV as an example because it really is a channel where talent is everything. Kind of mission-driven talent. People will follow those stars everywhere they go. I would use an example of someone like Brian Baumler, who is one of our biggest stars on HGTV. He launched a show called The Island of Brian, and it was kind of this out-of-the-box concept following him renovating a resort in the Bahamas. That show has been seen the world over, and it was one of the biggest shows for Discovery in the US in their history. And it really is a testament to great talent. It was like Swiss Family Robinson in a Bahamian resort. So it was really cool to see people showing up specifically for him, for that talent, for that family, because that's really what that show was all about. So I think talent can be everything with a pitch. They can save things, they can elevate it, they can bring audience to it, they can do brand partnership stuff outside of the show. It's a big piece of the overall puzzle, I would say.
For sure. Did you want to add anything?
I 100% agree with everything you said. Talent literally can just be a show. It's true. It makes or breaks it, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. And there's tons of talent in this country, so everyone should hire Canadians for their own. Don't look always to Americans. I'm sure there are there are unscripted producers at the festival, and maybe producers now considering unscripted as a way to kind of get into the door or like be their first project, especially if they're green or haven't done anything. Or maybe if a producer's only done scripted and they want to start doing unscripted. What do you look for in a pitch? Like what makes people stand out if they want to pitch to you, and like what's maybe some advice you can give?
I would say if you can, book a mandate call with the network before pitching, just so you have a sense of what the needs are, and tailor the pitch to the needs of the commissioner. That's a big thing. It sounds so simple, but the amount of times we'll see a pitch where it's like, it's a great idea, we're just not looking for that. So I think it's important to kind of reach out first, do that mandate check. For us, I think it can be as simple as a one-pager on the pitch side. It doesn't need to be a fully fleshed Bible. If we like something, we put it into paid development. We're willing to invest in your time and that creative. So a really kick-ass one-pager works. Talent tape works. We're used to lo-fi coming out of COVID. I think we can see self-shot stuff and be cool with that. So whatever the project needs to tell the story, not to be vague, but that's what works.
Yeah, all that, basically having some sort of creative material so we can kind of see. Images, I find, always are really helpful in telling the story. You don't need necessarily 10 paragraphs, but if you can kind of show us what you're going to see on screen, and also if you have those stats, those social media stats, or those article from the New York Times that, really kind of helps push it forward. What also is really good is, again, great title, but access. What we really look for is access. What can you bring us that, if you're gonna pitch us a show about NASA, do you have access that we've never had before into NASA? Do you know an astronaut? Is your uncle's buddy someone who used to work on spaceships or that sort of things in terms of just space? I'm not particularly looking for that show, but access is key. Access and a really great talent is something that we are always actively looking for, is unique worlds.
Awesome. I will just open it up to the floor if anyone does have questions. Otherwise, I have speed round questions for you too, but I wanted to open it up in case anyone wanted to ask anything.
This would be for both of you. What got you into it? What got you, at what point in your life did you say, I want to do this?
Sure. So I have always been a chatty person. I actually worked in radio for a while as a summer cruiser girl. And so I traveled around Midwestern Ontario as the One Fun Squad. And I went to so many different events. Again, I was the only one in the Fun Squad, so it was very limiting. But I went to sheep shearing competitions. I went to roller derbies. I went to sand sculpting competitions. I went to chainsaw carving competitions. Those definitely impacted when I started at Marble Media, actually as an intern, and moved my way up. Those were the first things I thought, wow, those are such unique worlds. I was able to meet so many cool people. And then it really clicked for me one day. I was like, these are shows. I love competition shows to watch. I'm like, I should just I should do this. This is something I'm passionate about. And already I've got a back pocket full of all these different things that I've witnessed over the last few years.
Mine's weirder. I was a ballet dancer for 15 years. I was a pre-professional ballet dancer, and I quit and met randomly this producer of a show called Factual, which is a CBC show. And I started working on that show as an intern 18 years ago, and here I am. So, yeah, bit of a different path in how I got here, but lots of...
The choice started to happen when you were an intern.
Yeah, I mean, CBC is a brilliant place to work, especially if you're just starting your career. It really is like getting a BA in TV. I worked around brilliant journalists. I worked with Tim Blanks. I don't know if anyone knows him, but he's a brilliant journalist. I had to Google his stand-ups. He would be reporting in the field, and I would be Googling every word, every other word. So it was a brilliant education and a great kind of place to cut my teeth for sure.
Awesome. Just quickly, a couple last questions. Favorite unscripted show right now? Maybe not one of your own.
Is this like the real, or is this like a smart answer?
Yeah, because that's really different answers for me.
I guess it's free for all, up to you.
Real. Okay, Housewives of New York. No judgment.
Sister Wives.
It's so good.
In the same
newest
lane.
seasons currently airing. Wild.
Maybe might be the same answer. Favorite host or talent? Is it on those shows or not?
I've always been a Gordon Ramsay girl. I love Hell's Kitchen. It was something that has like impacted a lot of my creative decisions, being like, Hell's Kitchen, I really like the format of it. And again, not that I like someone screaming at someone else, but goodness, he is just so talented. And also like, I'm like, ooh, I'm a little scared. So it's great. It's a perfect combination.
You legitimately took my answer.
Really?
Hotel Hell. Have
Oh
you
my
guys seen that
God.
show? Go to YouTube. It is like my obsession. Gordon Ramsay is so brilliant. And he made this deal with his producers. You can tell he made a deal that his bare bum would appear in every episode. So it's like Pokeroo. You have to watch, but you know in every episode you're going to get a bit of Gordon Ramsay's derriere.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
She's gonna go she's gonna go
A
down
lot
the
of
rabbit
freeze
hole.
framing is gonna happen.
And last question is a foreign country whose unscripted content you love, and if you have a specific program like from outside, maybe not America, but maybe outside of North America.
I do love UK programming. I love Come Dine With Me. I think it's such a great format, which obviously has spawned off into, Four in a Bed and those sort of things. But UK TV, they just take so many risks, and they're just like, you know what? I think this is only meant to be 8 episodes, and we're just done. And you're like, oh, okay, wow. They just have such an interesting take, and they will push the limits very far. But also, it's very comforting, and I feel like it's something that really brings the country together. Everyone's watching simultaneously. It kind of feels like a community, which I love.
Awesome.
I think the UK is, home to so much brilliant TV, almost too much to name. Like there's just across those channels, there's just so much great stuff. So I totally agree. I wish I had like a better, there's some great kind of Japanese formats. I remember when we did Dragon's Den, that is originally a format. I think it was maybe that was the UK or maybe it was Japan. Anyways, there's lots of other kind of brilliant formats out there in the world for sure.
For sure. Well, if you haven't been inspired to go look at Unscripted and consider it as a producer, we're all repping for you to go do it. So thank you so much for being here. If anyone wants to chat with them, grab them after. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.